In this video, I'll show you how to make a clay rattle using the slab method. After creating our planning sketches, our first step is going to be to create a series of beads. We need at least 10 beads, so we'll roll together some clay in our hands. And if we make our beads small, they'll have a high-pitched sound inside our rattle. And if we make our beads a little bit thicker or bigger, it'll have more of a low-pitched sound. After you've made your beads, fold them up in a piece of paper towel and allow them to dry to bone dry. With our beads drying, it's time to roll out a slab and create the shapes for our rattle. Here I'm going to roll out a slab using 3/8 of an inch spacers to keep my slab nice and even. And I'm going to flip it to make sure that it dries nice and even. I cut out a little stencil and I'm going to trace this to get the shape of my turtle shell. And I'll cut this out. Now I'm going to roll out another slab, again using the 3/8 of an inch spacers so that it's the same thickness. And I want it to be about the same size, but I'm going to use the piece that I already cut out to get an idea for how big the bottom part should be. So now I'll trace the top and cut out the bottom. Now I can form my slabs and create the shape of my turtle shell. Make sure that they fit together well and make sure that there's enough room inside for my beads. Before I score and slip these together, I'm going to make sure I put my beads inside. Make sure everything is lined up. And now I'm going to make sure that I thoroughly score the outside edge of both the top and bottom of my turtle shell. Remember, scoring helps to give it a little grip when we go to slip it and attach it together. Now I'm going to make sure I add plenty of slip. This is like the glue that's going to help stick both pieces together and make sure that they seal up firmly. Make sure to use enough, and it's okay if it kind of squirts out the side. We'll give it a wipe and help stick and clean everything up together. So now I'm going to press together and rub the seams to make sure it's all sealed up and make sure that everything is firmly attached. Make sure you don't skip this step. It's super important to make sure that you thoroughly score and slip, otherwise your parts will crack. We're going to make sure it's sealed up on all sides and make sure that the seams are nicely smoothed out and make sure everything is firmly attached and stuck together. With the basic shape of my turtle shell assembled, it's time to start making some arms and legs for our turtle. I'm making the head and appendages out of some coils that I'm rolling up, and I'm going to make sure again that I thoroughly score and slip these to attach them. But before I do that, I'm going to make sure that I form and shape the head a little bit and kind of get an idea of the rough shape of things before I attach it. Again, make sure that you thoroughly score and slip to prevent your pieces from cracking and falling off. If you want to make sure that they stay on there and make sure that they don't fall off, spend a little extra time, make sure you do it right. Once you fire these pieces later, if you haven't scored and slipped, chances are they'll crack and fall right off. So now I'm attaching the arms and legs that I've created from some coils, getting the rough shapes figured out and making sure everything is firmly attached. And last but not least, here comes the tail. After this, I'm going to make sure that I go back and smooth out all of the joints, make sure everything is really well connected, and just try to refine this a little bit more. After this, I'm going to let this dry to leather hard and come back to refine my details before I finish it all up. So as I said before, I'll now let this dry to leather hard and come back in the second video to add my details. Thank you for watching.